In a strange move, the Biden campaign tapped conservative commentator, former GOP operative Ana Navarro to help secure the Latino vote. Navarro is known to push back against communism, one of the Trump campaign's biggest messaging points to actually energize Latino GOP voters in Florida.
But polls show that Biden continues to struggle with Latinos in general. Friend of the show, author of Tio Bernie and former senior advisor to the Bernie Sanders campaign, Chuck Rocha, joins us now to weigh in on Navarro and how Biden is being received by Latinos today. Great to see you, Chuck.
Good to see you, Chuck.
Hey, thanks for having me.
Absolutely.
All right, what's your take on this? What do you think?
What's going on here?
So look, anybody who follows my Twitter handle knows I was a little salty earlier in the week when I saw this article come out. Now, there's some other things that you don't know that I'm going to tell you and your viewers behind the scenes. So my business partner, Luis, who operates on the other side of the wall, means he deals with candidates, the Biden campaign, the Senate campaigns. I work on the IE side, so I don't know what they're doing over there. But he let me know just a couple hours before I saw this Navarro story that the Biden campaign had told Luis, who's a dreamer from Mexico, has pulled himself up in his bootstraps, did the paid communication operations for the entire Bernie Sanders campaign, that he was not going to get the work and they were going to give it to a former Obama administration official who would be doing the Latino mail. So I was already salty and mad for Luis and really felt bad. And then I saw they had tapped Ana Navarro, who was going to be doing this work for them in Florida. And it was just like a culmination of me being a little too frustrated. And my pugilist side came out a little bit, like we all know I have from time to time. And I was like, I shouldn't say everything I feel on Twitter, and I should congratulate everybody. But this the raw numbers of the Latino vote. If we were to increase the Cuban turnout in Miami by 10 points, we could make up the same amount by 0.1% of increasing the African-American vote in the same state. Are they important? Sure. Are they a big numeral, a factor in winning the election? No. This race will be won in Arizona, North Carolina, and along the I-4 corridor in Florida, where lots of Puerto Ricans will be voting.
Right. And well, see, that's the crazy thing when we see it, Chuck, is that, we've interviewed you so many times during the campaign. We know you're the only person, or your campaign, you were the only guys to actually increase. Everyone says, oh, we're going to increase turnout. And you actually did it by pretty dramatic percentages. And they don't seem to be all that interested in the work that you guys did. And then even worse, they're tapping Ana Navarro to do this. How does that come about, honestly?
So look, I'm going to pitch the book now, tioberniebook.com. Yeah. It's coming out on Wednesday. I'm super hyped, but it answers these questions. So go get this book. It puts you inside the campaign of some really hard decisions that I had to make. And all of you folks on Twitter over the last few months who have been as heartbroken as I have, that Bernie Sanders is not in this race anymore. If you want to know what really happened, you need to buy this book because I put you in the room. A lot of things that people think about me and Bernie Sanders, I haven't talked to Bernie Sanders in 7 months. To your point, it was my job to run the campaign, the voter contact, the Latino piece, the door knocks, the mail, the radio, the parts that actually, get you elected. So I wanted to tell this story for all of your fans, Bernie fans, to put you in that room that I was so honored to be in, that every day I'm heartbroken that I don't get a chance to be in anymore. But to your point, Sager, it reinforces the fact of how special that was for me, this kid from East Texas who've never been to college, who talks funny, to get to be in that room. Because what I just told you about the Biden campaign, we've never actually, outside of the Biden campaign, ever worked on a Senate race in the entire part of my firm, because it's just hard to break into that club. And if I can't do it, and I've been doing it for 31 years, somebody like Luis, my business partner, who's a dreamer, how are him and other kids like him ever going to break into this business?
Yeah.
Well, and Chuck, look, just purely from a strategic perspective, maybe Biden's weakest demographic is working class Latino men. Why do you think that is?
We did a bunch of polling on this in the Bernie Sanders campaign. And I think that it's different with men and women. Obviously, it's different. But there's just this piece and this disconnect where you need to have a longer conversation with men. Obviously, there's a little sexism in there, machismo. That don't mean that all Latino men are egotistical sexists. By no means. But there's something in the culture that I had to deal with as a young man, right? That as I've gotten older, I've learned to respect and understand the power of women and understand the power of a message. Sometimes that's harder. I look at my son, who's 30 years old, who's very much a pugilist like his father. Like, it takes a few more conversations sometimes to get through our hard head.
And what do you think that the prospects are so far, Chuck? I mean, we've got Biden. He's doing well in the polls. However, some of the same kind of Clintonite problems remain for him. Younger voters, younger Latino voters, working class Latino voters, younger black men, working class black men. What do you think he could do in order to fix that?
Well, you started seeing it this week, right? So he dumped a bunch of money on TV, no matter what you think about politics and grassroots. And that's very important. TV and reaching out to people like we did with Latino, spending money really does matter. People want to talk about the Bernie campaign, going back to the book. It wasn't just the grassroots. Everybody loves to put a bow around the grassroots and how great it was. And it was, in fact, great. But what made Bernie Sanders really different, and we almost won, is because we had a great paid communication on top of the grassroots. So if you can do both, and he can't be doing grassroots right now. You saw the article this week where Democrats hadn't knocked on any doors because of Corona. That means you've got to spend a lot of money texting those voters, and to Crystal's point, telling them exactly what Joe Biden is going to do to make their lives better. Because that's the key I'm seeing in every working class focus group that I've been doing all summer is, hey, we all hate Trump. He's a bad guy. Don't tell me nothing else about Donald Trump. Hey, we get it, but tell me what Joe Biden is going to do to make my life better. That's that closing argument that he has to make in the next 75 days, or you're going to see this thing really, really get back together, get less wide and tighten up is the words I was looking for.
Yeah, I think we're already starting to see the beginning of that in the polls, too. Chuck, always great to have your perspective. Thank you very much.
Thank y'all.
We'll have more Rising for you after this.